Hey, Mercy, Chapter 11. Life is a crooked road. My mother would cry when something went wrong. The day Dad hopped into that woman's sports car being the most recent. But I always wondered what she meant by a crooked road. Mom included everything from plumbing problems to runs in her stockings to cheese gone moldy. Crooked road, she complained from her recliner after a hard day working at the grocery store. Life is a crooked road, you'll see. I didn't dare point out that Pinkerton was built on straight lines, not like those winding one lone cobbled roads in Europe. How could we really experience this crooked road business? But I began to grasp Mom's meaning when Jessica, Tammy, and I were playfully tapping the balloon with our fingertips, knuckles, shoulders, heads, knees, and in Tammy's case, wet snout. We were determined to see Joey right away, but in my path, on the crooked road, a kid, about 4, was crying in the middle of the sidewalk. We could have crossed the street, but that would have avoided fate, or at least made me a coward. I was shocked to see that the little boy was sitting on my old trike. Had it already been sold at the rummage sale? We stopped to see. What's wrong? Jessica asked. She bent down, placed her hands on the handlebars. Tammy, in turn, sniffed the front and the back wheels. Boots! Hot tears ran down his face. Tell me what's wrong, Jessica cooed. Boots! The boy pointed a sticky finger at the roof of the house, where a kitten was. Meow, meow. I had been such good mood, but now I was worried. Was it fate that I should lose another life if I had to climb to the roof? How did it get up there? Jessica cooed even more sweetly. Don't know, the boy cried. He got off my trike, I mean, and crumpled on the front lawn. I assumed that the boy had let the kitten run around the house, and maybe the springy legs of this little kitten brought it face to face with the daffodils, the garden hose, and the sprinkler, a snail with its big shell of goo, and finally the ladder leaning against the house. That must have been how the kitten climbed onto the roof. I like your trike, I told the kid. I had one just like that. I didn't say the trike belonged to me, but I could have offered proof. I could have rolled up my pants and showed him the array of scars on my knees. Too bad I wasn't home where I could go into my sock drawer and show him the baby tooth that got knocked out when I tipped the trike over. The child quietly stopped sobbing when I got onto the trike and I rode up and down on his driveway, goofily tipping it over but righting it quickly and saying, Oops, but I'm not hurt. This brought a sunshine to the boy's face. It also brought out his sister, who asked nastily, What are you doing? She was about 15, her face colored brightly with makeup. There was no sunshine on her face. She seemed plain hard. Jessica stepped in and took the child's hand. Hi, Alyssa. Your brother was crying. Your cat's on the roof. I assumed that Jessica knew the girl from gymnastics, as the girl was slender but bulky in the shoulders. She also spotted a ponytail like Jessica. What? Alyssa stepped off the porch, walking backward, her hand over her brow in a sort of salute. She spied the roof. When she saw Boots, she narrowed her eyes at her brother. Did you throw her up there? She asked angrily. I took a step back at the possibility that the kid may have thrown the kitten onto the roof. To me, he looked sweet, but you could never tell. He shook his head. Then how did he get up there? He climbed. Since I was experienced with roofs, both in the climbing and the falling, I boldly made a suggestion to end this drama. It's a piece of cake. I'll get her. I climbed the ladder, dusted off my palms as I stood up, and called, Kitty, 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 kitty. The kitten and ran away. Come on, little kitty. I got down on all fours. I meow like a cat, but that made the cat freak out and scamper to the other end of the roof. So I played bad cop and I patrolled the roof from one corner to another until the cat hissed to reveal claws, and puffed up its tail. But once I had it in my arms, the kitten gave up and began to purr. You naughty Boots, I scolded playfully. To my amazement, I descended the ladder without harm. But when I touched the ground and handed Boots to the child, my heart almost stopped. A familiar truck rolled up the driveway, and we had to move out of the way. It revved the engine and cut off, the exhaust pipe popping and hurling black smoke. The door opened, and out stepped one of the teenagers who had stolen my bike. He was smirking at me. So, how was church? It was good. Oh, I like your singing. That comment probably would have made him punch me in the nose or at least stomp on the tips of my shoes. He stood there close to me. He stepped up to Alyssa, gave her a peck on the mouth. I was amazed. It sort of made me sick as this kiss between them made this slurping suction sound that you get when you unplug the drain in the kitchen sink. How's my girl? He asked, and his hand around her waist. Oh, more sickness churned in my stomach. Okay. You know Jessica? Nah. You with this guy? He pointed a hitchhiker's thumb at me. We're friends, Jessica answered. I could see that Jessica didn't think much of Alyssa's boyfriend. The teenager, Eric, we learned, kissed Alyssa a second time. He was just a big mean lug, but I was resolved not to tell Jessica how he had stolen my bike and how I had miraculously retrieved it from church. Snitching on him wasn't worth it. How you like your trike? Eric asked. The child gripped the handlebars and lowered his face. Tell Eric thank you, Alyssa scolded. Thank you, the boy whispered and pedaled away, a sign that we should leave too. We gotta go, I said, and I laughed. What's so funny? Eric edged toward me. I erased the smile from my face. When I saw his mouth bend into a crooked shape, I thought of Mom and her assertion that life was at times a crooked road, could also be full of crooked mouths. You hear me? More crooked mouth. Leave him alone. Don't be like that, Alyssa warned. Heard your friend's up in a tree. Man, don't he got a home? I was amazed by the crookedness of the finger that he pointed at me. Yeah, he's got a home. He just likes it up there. Is he a monkey or something? Crooked mouth again. No, he's not a monkey. Stop it, Alyssa scolded her boyfriend playfully. Let's go inside. She picked up the kitten and pressed it to her heart. Come on, Jessica said as she glared at Eric and pulled on my arm. I was a little scared of getting hit by him, but there was another emotion percolating inside me. I was sadder that my trike was gone from my life. The boy seemed deserving of a trike, but he didn't know that Eric had probably copped it from the church. I was sure he had given it to the little boy to get on the good side of Alyssa, but as I walked away with Tammy on my left and Jessica on my right, I wondered how much of a good side Alyssa really had. Don't feel bad, Jessica cooed. We had returned to batting the balloon in the air, but it was I who failed to keep it afloat. My mood had darkened. I can't help it. He's a bully. Just because he has a truck? I scratched Tammy's head, hoped that I could live up to what my new dog thought of me. Why couldn't I be brave instead of a wimp pushed around by a bully who was also a thief? Alyssa's not nice either, Jessica released a sigh. I know you're feeling bad. I am. I was tired of my role as Cupid and tired of climbing onto roofs and turning on valves and rescuing cats. We stood in silence, or near silence, as Tammy had cornered a flea on her shoulder and was attacking it with chomping teeth. Let me show you something, Jessica said after a while. She pulled on my arm and started in a direction that wouldn't lead us to Joey's place. What about Joey? I was determined to deliver Jessica to Joey and then go on my way, which for me would be a Sunday meal and an hour of Animal Planet. Don't you want to see him? He's not going anywhere. You said he's not coming down. We hurried 6 blocks in the industrial part of Pinkerton and stopped in front of an abandoned broom factory. A portion of the roof was missing. Through these holes, birds entered and exited. A stray cat lurked near an oil barrel. And there were those bats hanging in the eaves. I remember this place. They gave away a bunch of brooms when they shut down. We got red ones. My grandfather started the factory. No. He did. He made brooms that went all over the place. In fact, when I went to see the Queen Mary in Long Beach, I saw one of his brooms. A sailor was using it. Wow. It struck me as amazing that of all the things made in this town, brooms, baseball caps, computers, or boxes of raisins could circle around the globe. We ducked our heads, scooted through the chain link fence. We walked around the outer grounds to the factory. A couple of rusty trucks sat with flat tires in the shadow of a tall smokestack. A rusty gasoline pump looked ready to fall over. That's where they put the straw, Jessica pointed out. And that's where they lay my dog when he got killed. That's what Dad said. I eyed Jessica confused. I was suddenly overwhelmed by the smell of hay. Through the pile that filled the bin was mushy in its state of decomposition. My dad used to be the foreman here. She petted Tammy, who had sidled up next to her. He used to take Mercury, that was my dog, to work. One day Mercury got killed when a roll of baling wire fell on him. I swallowed and I wasn't sure what to say. I had lost a cat once to old age and had begun to understand mortality when one morning I found my hamster Melvin on his back with his eyes open and sort of grinning. I had lost a lot of playground fights, but a dog getting killed and in an accident, that would be the worst. He was a great dog. He could swim. Jessica described how she and Mercury would paddle in the Bass Lake. He was also the perfect alarm clock. In the mornings, she recalled with a big smile, he scratched at her bedroom door at exactly 7:15. And for comfort, what was better shoulder than a dog's? Poor Mercury, I said. At that moment, I wished that I had a dog when I was little. How old was he? 6, I think. He was so cute. I observed a roll of baling wire next to the bin where the straw was kept. I wondered whether it was the same roll that had killed Mercury. I wondered whether his body was buried near the factory or maybe in her backyard. I know that Eric pushing you around and Mercury getting killed like that are different. Jessica wasn't making any sense. So Eric is a lot of hot air and could hurt your feelings, but when your dad comes home to tell you that your dog is dead, it's way worse. This was an improvement in logic, and I could see her point. I could also feel the pumps behind my eyes preparing to spill tears. I choked. I had never really talked with a girl before, but now I was convinced that they were more sensitive. I agree, I responded meekly, and I turned around to rake a tear from my eye. Mercury used to like to go hiking. Jessica began to ruffle Tammy's fur. But he wasn't much of a guard dog. He liked people too much. You loved him a lot, huh? A lot. I sighed. Jessica's memory of Mercury was making her sad, and the memory of what Eric had done was making me sad. I wished I had one of Jessica's grandfather's brooms to sweep away those feelings. Wishful thinking. In the real world, Eric was a bully, and bullies ruled schools, but eventually they went away, and sometimes they had their lights punched out by someone who was bigger and badder. This much I knew. Uncle Vic had told me so, and so had my mom when I came home one day holding my nose. I recalled that bloody nose day because Mom had lamented, "Life is full of crooked roads." She peeked at my nose and added, "And crooked noses." Come on, let's go, Jessica beckoned. She wiped her eyes and reached into her pocket for a Kleenex. Let's be happy. Tammy barked and pranced. See, Tammy wants to go. You lead the way, girl. We picked up the scent of our purpose, which was to see Joey, himself hurting from a stinging insult. Jessica began to bat the balloon again, and this time we kept it in the air with every possible part of our bodies, plus Tammy's snout. The balloon dropped several times, but we didn't mind.